Now, I don't know if y'all seen Wakanda Forever yet. I'm sure you have, right? Okay. There's a lot of swimming in the movie. And Ryan Coogler, who directed the film, he said he learned to swim just to direct the film. Were you a part of that whole process as well?
I got really excited when I found out about the swimming because I was a competitive swimmer as a kid.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was something that I gave up in terms of competing, but I always have loved it. It's my favorite sport. I go back to it every now and then. So to actually get to do it on screen, I'd never, ever had that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was a really cool thing just to see black folks swimming. I don't think we get to see that enough. So, you know, it was just, I went all in. You know, on my own, I got like an Olympics trainer and went all in and tried to learn as well as I could.
I mean, if you was a competitive swimmer, did you have to like refresh some things? Like, what did you have to learn again?
Well, you know, here's the thing. I was a competitive swimmer when I was like up to the age of like 13. So let's just like really keep it real.
Wow.
So like I kept swimming and I loved swimming with speed, but like learning how to swim from on that level where you're actually really learning what Olympic swimmers do to gain speed and momentum and endurance was like a whole new thing to learn. And I got really like kind of passionate about it, just learning about it with the black community, how we don't get exposed to it that much and it can affect even children because like I found out like black kids are 5 times more likely to drown than white kids, which really got me and
that's
I'm
simply
very passionate about it now.
Is that simply from a lack of not knowing?
I think it's from the lack of so many factors, but I think it's really I think it's socioeconomic. I think it's about like what's in the communities that gives them that exposure. And so I think it's really it's a life skill that I'm now really passionate about. So I'm so happy that it's in the movie the way it is. Ryan did learn. And so many cast members also learned for the job, which is an amazing thing.
Was Ryan really in the water?
Yes, that man was in the water, okay? It was so funny because like, he's such a committed man. He's so committed, he's so passionate about what he does. He gives it everything he's got. And we were one of the costume designer, the amazing Ruthie Carter, was saying she was just looking at a monitor and it was underwater and she could see a few people just treading water normally, and then there were these one pair of legs that were just treading. It was Ryan.
Wow.
Ryan gave it his all. He really learned a lot.
Your character has such an interesting story arc in the film. I mean, everybody's dealing with grief in the film, but you're also dealing with isolation, I would call it, by people you love. How did those two emotions collide for you in this film?
Yeah, we were dealing with a lot. It was a very intense process. We had lost Chadwick, and that's our brother. It was the soul of what we were doing. He was our anchor as a leader, and he was a very, very anchoring, stabilizing presence just in life.
South Carolina's own.
Yes. And it was devastating to lose him, and coming back was all about honoring him. So, the focus of everything we did was about that, and the journey and the joy of it was that we got to actually explore the experiences of these characters. The grief actually was honoring him as well, but they were going through it, we were going through it. We hadn't gone through it together yet, because sadly he passed in 2020. We were very isolated at that time from seeing each other, even personally. So it was very much a time for us to come together and to mourn him together, but also to have the characters go through their grieving process. And that was very different for any sort of film, honestly, quite on this scale. But also the journey of my character was, it was important to me that she doesn't just come across as like strong or whatever, you know what I mean? She's a full person. So I was thankful that we got to see her go through some stuff she would never have expected, because she was trying to shoulder everything, which we do sometimes as black women or women. We tend to try to shoulder a lot, but we're not letting ourselves go through it. And she has to start going through it.
Did this film change how you view death? And the reason I ask that is because whenever I think about like the ancestral plane, I'm like, well, if you get to see your people afterwards in that way, maybe it ain't so bad.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hope in there, and I think that there's the beauty of the journey and the story and of what that belief is that's the hope, and I think that's what the story is, not just totally just sad or morose. It has a hope in it, that's that thread, that we move to another plane. And someone once said about Chadwick that he always felt like he was so deeply connected to the ancestors, and I felt that around him, big time. I mean, he even had the drum on set, and he would drum, his boy Jabari would drum. We got Jabari back, thank God, for this one, so we really felt that culture he brought to places that really connected you to yourself, to your people, to your ancestors. So there's something about that that is very rich and is kind of more resonant now in me than it was before.
How much did the script change? Was there an original script? How much did, after his passing, how much did the script change?
Oh, I hadn't seen the script before he passed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I know that there were, of course, there were changes, of course. But you know what? I hadn't even been thinking beyond the fact that the devastation of having lost him. And then Ryan said, "We're doing it," and I'm writing it, and I was surprised. But then when he said, "I know this is what he would have wanted. He would want us to carry the story on," and I knew immediately that was accurate. That's who he was.
Did you think it was even possible to do a second one without him?
Yeah, I think there's an extent to which it was an act of faith, and it was an act of belief that like what he went through and what he did to give what he gave to the world, we had to give our all to give that to him.
And you can tell that y'all are like really a family, but you and Lupita go way back, right?
Yeah, me and Lupita go way back. Me and Letitia go way back. They both, I met both of them. I met Lupita like 2007. I met Letitia 2015. They both had performed in plays that I have written. And the first time I met Letitia, she was getting into character for a role in one of my plays in London, and I'm just sitting there taking in the cast and just hoping, everybody's ready to do this and give it their all because it's a pretty heavy play, and she was the lead, and she was like, I just have to get into a moment, sorry, and she put on some Kendrick Lamar and she just went all out, and I watched her and I said, oh, she got it. This is fire.
Yeah.
She didn't care who was in the room. She was going to get where she had to go to give the role her all. And I said, I love this girl. So,
wow.
Yeah, we go way back. Yeah.
How does it feel now to be at this point with, both of y'all having the success that y'all are having? Do y'all ever look back and be like, damn, we did that?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of it is like, yeah, we are like sisters, and we really support each other. We've been through a lot in not that long a time, but like we really have such love and support for each other. We really had to lean on each other through the film. There were times I was stronger, they were stronger, There was times they'd be like, girl, let's pray. I'd be like, let's pray. You never know who's gonna be there for who on what day, but we were all there for each other. And so we kind of look at it all and you're just kind of thankful because every step is like, when we were in the midst of making this film, it was like the end of it was far off. We were just trying to get there every day and make sure we gave it everything we had. So just to see it up there and see people experiencing it and enjoying it, I mean, that feels amazing, I won't lie.